Hello and welcome back to week 15 of the No BS Home Buyers series. If you are pre-approved and starting to look at homes, first of all, congratulations. This is the really fun part, but it is also where a lot of buyers accidentally waste time or get overwhelmed or make rash emotional decisions. So don't forget, this whole series is where we are breaking down the home buying process to make into simple little steps so that way we can go from thinking about buying to actually owning. And today we are going to go over the right way to start looking so you don't accidentally waste your time, get overwhelmed, or make rash emotional decisions. So most people just jump into scrolling Zillow for hours. And although it's fun, it is not what I would call a strategy. You need to go into this with a plan and a strategy to go from not owning to owning. And rather than just get distracted by all the shiny objects, you should go in with a plan of what you're going to be looking for. Because looking without a plan is how you get overwhelmed really fast. And it's also how you really start looking at way over your budget and then are never happy with anything that's actually within your budget. And then you're like, well, maybe I'll just wait until I can afford it. But here's the news flash. It's probably going to get even more expensive as time goes on. So you probably want to start building that home equity, and home ownership leads to much more wealth in the long term in comparison to non-home ownership. So get started on it now. It's not going to be the perfect house, but that's okay. And you can move up into that move-up house later once you've built some equity in your current home. So let's talk about the steps to prep for your home search, because you want to set yourself up for being actually productive. So let's kind of go over like 5 steps. Lock in your real budget. This is where I was talking about. You don't want to be looking at homes way over your budget because you're going to be really upset when you look at properties in your budget. And when we're talking about our budget, your pre-approval from the bank is going to have a number. That does not necessarily mean that's your comfortable budget. So don't be looking at your max or setting your minimum criteria at your max, because you're going to have a rough time. Set it for what you're comfortable with. So let's say you're pre-approved for $400,000, but you're happier with the payment at $350,000. Put your max at $350,000. If you come across a house that's closer to that $400,000 and you want to stretch your budget, you need to be fully prepared to do that. But I would rather you see good options at $350,000 before you're ever stretching your budget. Because your budget should be taking into account your monthly payment and what you're comfortable with. Also, your lifestyle impact. Just because you're a homeowner doesn't mean you're doing great in finances. You could be completely house poor, and that is not our goal here. We want you to be building wealth through home ownership. And if you are maxing out your budget and you're just you have a house, but you're house poor because all of your money is going towards your house, you're not living a happy life and you're not doing the things that you really wanted home ownership for. So make sure you lock in that real budget before you start looking, and really only look in that comfortable budget area, because we want you to love your house, but we want you to be able to afford it comfortably so that way you can enjoy your house as well. Another step would be to get clear on your must-haves and your nice-to-haves. This is where you're going to save yourself a ton of time. If you can list out your non-negotiables, like, hey, I have to have 3 bedrooms. I have to have 3 legal bedrooms because I've got kids and I need them to be able to escape in a fire. And I have to have 2 bathrooms because if one's broken, we have to have another option. Those are things that you need to know and have. And, if you can tell your realtor, I need 3 legal bedrooms, but I would like a 4th non-conforming, you're opening up your options. But they can set up a search that has a hard stop at 3 bedrooms minimum and 2 bathrooms minimum. And then talk to yourself and to your realtor about things that would be lovely to have. Not necessary, but if you got it, consider it a bonus, whether that be a primary bathroom or a 3rd bathroom, an attached garage, fences, I would stick to your non-negotiable items being very easy to eliminate in a search. Bedroom count, bathroom count. If you have a certain square footage you're trying to hit, certain areas of town are pretty often non-negotiable for most people. Um, the negotiable ones would be like fences or things that you can add to the property. A pool, fence, sprinkler systems, things like that. Those can be all like negotiable. Uh, a lot of times, actually, garages are kind of negotiable for my clients. But really have an idea of what is, no, I have to have this and I want this on my search. And hey, I like these things and it would be really nice to have them, but it's not going to make or break something. And if you can add it later and you're under your budget, congratulations, you can add it a lot sooner. But the point is, if everything is a priority, nothing is. So you really want to hone in on what you have to have and what would be nice to have. So that way you go in and you can just eliminate some options. If you're, there's a really cute looking house, but it's only 2 bedrooms, but you need 3. Don't waste your time. Don't go look at it. Save yourself the headache, the heartache, and stick to your priorities. And then the third thing would be to set your expectations for the market. Not every home will be perfect. Even brand new homes are not perfect, and I still recommend an inspection. But they won't be perfect, and that's totally okay. Just go in knowing that no home is perfect, and there are going to be things that need to be fixed. What you need to consider, though, is the price for the condition. So if you are at the top of your budget and you've seen other houses, that were maybe in the lower range, but you're at the top of your budget and this house needs work, this is probably not the house for you. If you're on the lower side of your budget and the house doesn't need work, congratulations, you just found like the golden egg. So take it. But it is a trade-off of price and condition. So you got to kind of look at what you're comparing to and look at what you've seen within your budget, whether that's scrolling online or actually visiting houses. I would recommend, even if you're like at the beginning and not quite ready to like put in an offer on something, go to open houses, let the agent at the open house know who your agent is and that you're working with them. So they'll follow up with your agent and not bother you all the time. Works much better. But go to these open houses, kind of get a feel for different price ranges and what you're getting in the house, because pictures can be very deceiving. And you just want to kind of get a feel for condition, how the house feels at the price range, kind of neighborhood, look around, and do a couple open houses, check them out, see what's available. And then when you're really serious and getting ready to write offers, reach out to your agent, let them know that you're going to open houses too. There's nothing wrong with going to open houses. And if they're available, they may be able to schedule a private showing as well. But go check out some different houses, get a feel for your market and what you should actually expect. Because there are going to be some trade-offs, and you might find that on the more expensive side, you're getting more of those would be nice to haves, but is it worth that extra money monthly to get those nice to haves? Or can you go on the lower side of your budget and maybe find something to add? A baby here with me. So you're not buying perfection, you're buying for potential and fit and the ability to adapt it to what you need. So this brings us to number 4, set up a focused search. This is where your agent is going to be your lifeline and where they really matter. They can help take that must-have list and that nice-to-have list and put it into a search, so that way you are getting targeted listings sent to you on a daily, as soon as it gets listed basis, weekly, however often you want it. I typically like to set up my searches for the morning for my clients. So like before they're going to work or something, so they can kind of check over them before they go. So that way they can make a game plan that day, like if they need to get off for lunch. And then these searches kind of help you avoid the endless scroll, because it is so easy to get caught up looking at every house online, even if it doesn't match. So stick to the searches. Oftentimes your agent will have a program where you can like make comments or request showings and do things like that, or favorite them. or reject them. And by doing those things, it helps your agent understand exactly what you're looking for. So I recommend you partake in their programs. But the goal isn't to see everything, it's to see the right things that are going to match you, your budget, and your timeline. And then when you are really up and roaring and ready to go, be ready to tour quickly. You really need to be on top of your game because good homes don't sit forever. If it is a good home, it will go fast. There are a lot of buyers in the market, at least right now, and pretty much any time. It's always ironic to me. A house will be sitting for like 30 days and then all of a sudden it comes in with multiple offers. So if it's a house you like, you need to be ready to move. Your schedule should be flexible. So if you are in the hardcore shopping time of buying a home, let your bosses or your work know, like, hey, I need a little bit of flexibility here. We might be on a tight timeline for a showing. Try to do your lunch hours or be prepared to use your lunch hours or ask if you can step out early. Just let them know you're very serious about buying a home and that sometimes it takes a little flexibility, and hopefully they will be okay with it. And if not, let your agent know your availability times ahead of time so that way when they're looking at houses and scheduling, they can just know, like, hey, they get off at 5 p.m. They can be there by 5:15. So they can schedule with the agents and everything. And then just be prepared to make a decision. It is crazy that once you go look at a house, oftentimes you're putting in an offer that night or the next day. It can be a little bit overwhelming. It's a big purchase. It's a big deal. You will still have your inspection period so long as you don't write that off. So don't take putting in an offer lightly. It is a serious thing. You shouldn't just be putting in offers and then getting cold feet the next day. That's not how this works. But you do have to be prepared to make that decision quickly. Take the time to envision yourself living in the house while you're there. If it's something that you really like, take a look at the neighborhood, do your research, and then be prepared to put in the offer. And your agent should be able to walk you through everything that actually goes into the offer. And we will cover a lot of those topics here in the future, but just being ready to make a decision is important. And preparation creates opportunity, and all of those things are preparing for creating that opportunity for you. So let's talk about some common mistakes I see when people are starting to look. The biggest one is I see people looking outside of their budget, and that is just such a heartbreaker for them because they see all these really expensive houses with these nice amenities, and then they look in their price range and they don't have these amenities, and then everything just seems kind of bland at that point. So please stick to your budget, your comfortable budget, because you're going to be seriously disappointed if you're looking at these more expensive houses. And that is a big reason agents want you to have a pre-approval before, because you may think you're qualified for 500,000, but the bank only thinks you're qualified for 300,000. And if you were looking at 500,000 houses, you are not going to find what you want in a 300,000 house. So keep that in mind. Don't set yourself up for failure from the get-go. And then another mistake I see is falling in love too early. And I know I just said you have to make decisions quickly, but you are not closed on that house until you sign closing paperwork. And the inspection period can bring things to light that maybe isn't, ideal. And you may be in love with the house, but you may be heartbroken about the inspection. And then also in competitive markets, falling in love with a house that you're putting an offer on doesn't mean you won the offer. So it can be really heartbreaking when it's a multiple offer situation and people are going to lose. And if your heart is just so set on this house, it can be hard to move on to the next one. So don't fall in love with the house until you move in. I know, easier said than done, but just keep perspective that, hey, it is not done until it's done. And this would be an ideal house for us because of these things. But if it doesn't happen, it wasn't meant to be, and that's okay. And then one kind of going along with this, if you lose out on that house, every house going forward, you're comparing to that last one. All houses are different. All houses have their own benefits and negatives. So you have to look at each house individually and really try hard not to compare to the last one. Obviously, if you're moving out of a home you already own, comparing to the current home you own, it's going to be very common. That's why you're moving. But don't get in the comparison game on houses that you don't even own or never even put an offer in on. And then waiting too long to act. Like I said, a house could be sitting for 30 days and then it goes for multiple offers. If you like the house and are ready, move on it. It's just kind of the name of the game. And just understand this whole thing, it is a process, not a one house decision. Ultimately, you end up with one house, but you got to kind of get your feel throughout the process and understand what it is you actually are looking for. So please remember that this stage is very exciting and it can be overwhelming, but you can get through it. It's totally normal. And once you do get through it, it's so exciting because you then have a home. But just remember, in this process, you don't need to find the perfect home. The perfect home does not exist. You could build a brand new home exactly how you wanted it, and you're going to find something that isn't perfect about it. It's just the name of the game. But you do need to be able to recognize the right house when you see it. And by outlining exactly what you want and what you need, staying within your budget, that can help you. So when that house comes along, you can take action. So I have put together a home search prep checklist that I can give you. Please just ask. That kind of helps get you clear before you start touring. If you need help getting set up on a search or getting set up with an agent, I love matchmaking people with agents. So anywhere in the US and even abroad, it just takes a little longer. I can help you find an agent that can help you find a home. So they can help set you up on a perfect search for you. And then next week, we're going to be diving into another step. We're getting more into the weeds actually on the home search and the process throughout the buying process. So stay tuned, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks.